Hey, folks. No new episode this week because I was on vacation. Sorry, guys. But what I wanted to do was re release some of the older episodes for the times we're missing things like that. So, this episode that we're going to revisit today is the first episode that Daniel guested on, and it's one of my favorites. So, that's how we're going to do this if we have to happen to miss a week or something like that. We're going to revisit an episode that we've done in the past. If you have a favorite episode that you've had, we'd gladly love to hear it. Maybe we can start splicing some things up. But anyway, next episode, we're probably going to talk a little bit more about anxiety and things like that. Talk about my trip that I just went through and see what Kevin's up to. But as always, we miss you guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for coming back always. And don't forget to be kind to one another. Oh, also, I will tell the story about one of my airplane incidents that I forgot to tell before. But yeah, anyway, don't forget to be kind to one another. And I said good day. Salutations, everybody. Welcome to episode 3
Number 3.
Because Why Not?
Hello.
No bilingualness for you, or is it because we actually have someone who speaks legit Spanish on here? You're a little nervous.
Oh no, yeah. Now I'm. I didn't know he spoke Spanish. So
yes,
now...
he speaks legit Spanish.
Does that you said you mentioned me? Can I talk? I don't know how you guys do guests.
Yes. Oh, for everyone who doesn't know, the third unknown voice. Unknown. What the fuck is an unknown? Unknown voice is a friend of mine from a long time ago. His name is Daniel. Or do you go by Dan? I don't remember.
Daniel.
That's I figured as much. We're adults now.
Yeah, Dan is like what my uncles call me.
Hey, Dan.
Danny
Hi,
boy.
Dan. Yeah, Danny boy. I get. I used to
get. Danny boy.
I miss that Chris singing. I used to get Daniel San a lot.
Really?
Because of Karate Kid.
That makes
okay. Speaking of Karate Kid,
I'm gonna start getting it now because of Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai is fucking amazing.
You're not the 10th person to tell me that.
Yes, I'm sure, and I won't be the 11,000th person to not tell you that. That show is amazing. I watched it when it was on Yahoo a while ago.
Sure.
And I was like, everyone, this is amazing. It's worth the $4.99 a month for it. And everyone was like, shut the fuck up. I'm not paying for another streaming service. And then it comes on fucking Netflix and everyone's like, oh my God.
It's free. People just think of it like it's free now because they just figure Netflix into their monthly budgets. But isn't it like the Wicked of Karate Kid? It's like
a what if kind of thing? Or...
Yeah, like because Wicked was like the
It's interesting way to look at it.
The Wicked Witch was like actually a good guy and let's see the story from her point of view. And so this is like, oh shit, Daniel San was like kind of a dick. Yeah. He's like a total dick.
It's kind of like the way Rogue One was. It changed the narrative of the original film a little bit. Meaning like with Rogue One, it changed just the general vibe of the first like 15 minutes of New Hope. That's Star Wars, everybody, if you don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh my God.
Thank you. I wasn't sure what was happening. I thought, Star Trek, but
Kevin, are you not into Star Wars as much as Chris? Well, I don't think anybody could be, but are you?
No. Well, I think we kind of touched on this the last time. I've only seen the original 3, but
those ones are dope.
They were.
You
really
won.
Good.
You've won.
You
sir.
did it.
You've won.
Is that a Willy Wonka reference? I just watched that movie the other day.
Being an adult is realizing that Uncle Joe is a fucking asshole. He is a straight up piece of shit.
But I also, being an adult is realizing like, man, these kids do deserve to die.
Yes.
Drown her in the lake or whatever, blow her up to a blueberry. Like, they're all so shitty.
Violet,
really
you're turning violet. You get nothing, sir. You lose. I said good day, sir.
Good day. I said good day.
I have this is something, Kevin, as you know, Chris will do like runs of quotes. Like if you mention like a thing, Chris will be like, I have 15 quotes ready to go, loaded, ready to fire machine gun style. And I remember 20 years ago, this is going to be the old man cast real quickly. But
there we go.
About 20 years ago when Family Guy was like, I think it had been on and then it had already been canceled.
Oh, right after season 4.
Yeah, we were talking about it, and we were talking about it with this cute girl we worked with, and Chris goes, he starts going on the run of quotes and quotes and quotes. The girl's totally lost. She has no idea what's going on. But then he says, there's a quote, like I guess there's a bit where the newscasters think they're not on TV when they actually are, or something like that.
Nice.
And the guy goes, I just don't like black people. But Chris says that to this cute black girl, and she's just like, what the fuck? Like, it didn't make any sense to her. And then at the end of this, these wild one-liners, he says that, and she's just like, what the fuck? Like,
and I just want everyone to know, I have not changed one bit.
Nope.
I am 0%. Who I am, and that is all I ever will be.
That's what I love about you.
So this was, you say 20 years ago. So how?
Yeah, we've been friends since 2002. Yeah.
Because I remember we were like acquaintances because I went to Barnes and Noble so much to study. All the Salesian kids, all the private school kids went to the Barnes and Noble cafe to study, and we met Chris, and Chris was like this cool guy around our age. You're only a year older than us.
Correct.
And so he was just our friend, and people were like, you have a college friend? And we were like, yeah, like,
yeah, it's not a big deal.
I'm putting quotations in college.
Yeah, that's true.
A few classes, all non sequitur.
You had your own apartment. You were like the cool guy. You were the cool guy to us. And it's funny now, but like looking back on it, like you're such a dork.
Oh no, I look back at all the things I used to do, and I cringe. I cringe so hard. I was so awkward. And it's like, I'm gonna open the door into the life of Chris a little bit. And it's like, and it was weird because I thought you guys were cool, because it's like you guys had a lot of things that I didn't have. It's like, I grew up and my dad was not around. My mom remarried when I was older. So you guys had a lot of the time strong father figures. So I would do this weird thing where I would call your dad, and I'm just like,
it wasn't
now I'm
weird.
Older, and I'm just like, this is fucking weird.
But that's like, but even the guys with good father like relationships would call my dad. Like we were just,
because your dad is fucking awesome.
That's like, thank you. But that time for us, I was telling Chris this like recently, like that was one of those times, like the way you guys talk about your times together in the ambulances, where it's like, that's like a touchstone for me. Like I'll look back and be like, damn, I was happy then. Right. Damn, that was a good time. I had such strong friendships with people. I was doing what I liked all the time. I didn't give it. We were swimming every day.
Like, every day.
And then the days that we wouldn't go swimming, like other people that knew about the pool would show up, because it was like a shared apartment pool, and other people would just show up. Like it was like what we wanted, what you always saw in those sitcoms, where it's like, oh, all these people kind of come in and out of this house, and it's like, you know, everything's kind of fun and there's no worries. And that's how it felt. And for you guys though, the ambulance stuff is like, it's almost like the forged in fire. Like you guys went through this, like you guys kind of shoveled horse shit together. Like,
I mean, you're not wrong. Some days were literally filled with shit.
Yeah.
Like literally. There was one time.
A lot of it.
Yeah, one time I was picking up at a nursing facility, one of these little hole in the wall ones in San Pablo. And we go in to drop the patient off. I finish my paperwork. I go back into ambulance. I sit in the front. My partner is cleaning the gurney. I'm finishing up my PCR, my patient care report. And my partner comes in after cleaning the gurney, and he's like, "You smell something?" I was like, "Yeah, it does smell like a little shit. I think it's all in our nares." And I'm writing. I look down to continue writing. And I look down at the floor, and there's brown streaks all over the ambulance floor. And I'm just like, what the hell happened? I lift up my shoe and realize I had stepped in human shit. Human shit. at a nursing facility, and I must have tracked it all through the hallway there because I didn't notice it until I got in the ambulance.
They're used to that. There's a code for that.
Yeah, code brown, sir.
Code brown. It's gross because I mean you step in dog shit or catch anytime you're outside. It doesn't seem as bad as stepping in human feces inside of a building.
Yeah, because
there's just something about it that's different.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of what the fuck that goes with that, and you're just like, okay.
I mean, when you're inside, you're not really expecting to look on the ground for shit.
No, you're looking straight ahead.
You have a job to do.
Yeah, job.
Well, sometimes you want to avoid what's going on. I know sometimes if you look inside some of the rooms that you're walking past, you might see some things that you may not want to see.
Oh no.
I remember one time, partner, we were dropping off at a psychiatric facility in Berkeley. And on our way out, her and I were just having a conversation back and forth. I was at the front of the gurney. I thought I was at the door to get out, but there was a door into someone's room right before the exit. And so, not paying attention, I just slammed the door open thinking I'm leaving this facility. Door open, guy rolls over, cock in hand, just stroking it, looks at us, does not stop.
Oh, doesn't miss a beat.
Doesn't miss a beat.
Literally.
Just keeps on going. And it's like, oh shit. So close the door real quick and then, obviously get out of there. But yeah, things happen.
That's the only way he could finish is getting caught.
he was hoping
He was hoping. He was like, come on, let that door open.
You would think being an emergency department where I work, the naked stories would go away, but no. For somebody who doesn't work in the sex industry, I asked the question, why are you naked? Way too many times.
Well, in the sex industry, you wouldn't ask. It would be part of the...
You are correct there. It's a given that you're going to be some sort of form of undress.
It's more like, why are you clothed?
Yeah, why are your clothes still on? You paid.
Yeah, it's like, what's going on?
So, like, how did you guys, like, deal with that? Like, you come home, like, how do you can't shut that off, right? Like, you can't.
No.
That's a good question. It becomes just a part of your day. It's like, oh, put my shoes on today, saw some dude stroking it. It just becomes
right,
and it becomes compartmentalizable in a way that you just have to deal with it. It's in, like, people ask us all the time, what's the worst thing you've seen? And just
I hate that
public
question.
Yeah,
that's the worst question.
Just for PSA, never ask someone who works in either emergency or in the healthcare in general that question.
That was in the military.
Yeah.
Never ask someone that. My dad was in the Vietnam. He was drafted in the Vietnam War. You never ask that question to somebody.
Like, what's the worst thing you saw?
That's like you ask people, like, why aren't you drinking?
Yeah.
How, like, nobody's gonna be like, oh, it's because of something good. Like, no, it's because something bad happened. Like, why are you afraid of zippers?
I've done some really weird things. Well, and I think this one of the things I feel like you kind of have to deflect it. So I mean, you get somebody.
I've gotten really good at deflecting.
They ask you that question, and you just kind of, well, you know what? Let me tell you a funny story, and that's where those you catch somebody jerking off stories come in hand, because you're just like, let me tell you something funny that you can kind of, and that's also how you deal with it, because you are going to have those days where you have some shitty thing happen to you, or you see it happen to somebody else and it's stuck with you.
Yep.
And that's where you have that bond with your partner. You get together and you can laugh at that stupid thing that happened earlier that day and not have to, dwell on that bad thing that just happened,
Because honestly, too, when you ask that question, you're asking someone to relive possibly the worst moment of that day or even the worst part of their life. Yeah. It's and if it's really bad, we just kind of shut it out, honestly.
Yeah, you kind of have to.
Yeah, it becomes
just do it for yourself.
Yeah. I love your bookshelf in your background there. Is that a Barbie in a wheelchair?
I was just going to say that too.
That's a Barbie in a wheelchair. I had a friend who had multiple sclerosis. She passed away, but that was her Barbie in a wheelchair somebody made for her.
Wow,
that's really, really sad that she died, because MS is a shitty disease.
MS is
you end up fighting your body. Just same for ALS as well.
Right, when your body starts fighting you.
And it's just like,
for
you know what,
control
fuck
of
you.
it.
I'm not gonna work anymore.
Yeah.
But
No, it's a
that's
sad
really cool
disease.
that she got that doll. I mean,
Yeah,
representation is very important.
I love that. That's what, like, I don't know how far you are in Prompies, but like, there's an assumption at the beginning of the story that
they were all white.
That they're all white, and
I did actually. I did notice that. It was interesting. I never know how to picture anybody in a book. I don't have. Like, my imagination isn't great. So I guess I kind of picture.
But you're clever as shit, which is funny.
Yeah. Oh, I loved this, especially between you guys. I've loved the 2 episodes you've done. I love them so much. I'm here on the 3rd.
There we go. But yeah, that was one of the things when you actually revealed, what they all look like, and I was like, oh shit, okay, that makes sense. But then at the end of the day,
and then it goes back to not mattering, which is the point. Like, and I really, that was something I noticed about Goosebumps.
Yeah,
Every time if someone's black, he says they're olive skinned, and they'll say it once, and he'll say it at the beginning of the story, and then it's not really a part of it.
Yeah.
And I always thought, and especially like,
I never even thought about that.
Most of Prompies is like, well, like the Goosebumps thing is like, you only know what color their hair is, and you only know what they're wearing. And I think a lot of times,
you wrote it like that on purpose?
And I wrote it like that on purpose. And I think a lot of people, especially people that like, oh, I'm looking forward to Daniel's book. I've known him for a while. They were like, why is it, it's really easy to get lost in the characters because they're all kind of similar. They all kind of talk alike. And the only things that separate them are their hair colors. And that's on purpose.
I was confused with Rachel and Elizabeth.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Like, I was very like, and then I eventually had to go back and was like, oh, they're different people. Okay.
They're different people, yeah. And there's even like, there's the Shakespeare style cast list at the beginning of it.
Yeah, I saw that and I enjoyed that.
And that's so you can be like, who the fuck is this? And you go back and you go, oh, okay, right, that's the blonde one. That's the one that's in love with this one. Because it's also like all this high school bullshit. I really wanted it to be like, I wanted somebody that was over like 50 to be like, I can't read this.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I was at 37. I was pushing it. I was like, because high school was a long fucking time ago.
I really wanted to make it like a Goosebumps novel and make it like a Michael Crichton novel too. Like,
so before we go any further, I just want to go back, and the reason why we brought Daniel on the show because he's a writer and a creator, and we wanted to take this episode to talk about just in general the creation process overall. He wrote a book called Prompies. He wrote a second edition of that book called, what was the second?
The sophomore edition.
Sophomore edition. And I actually own both copies. I never read the first one because I'm an asshole, but I read the.
Don't read that first one. That first one it's too mean. It's like.
So now I'm gonna go back and read it at least. Skim through it.
The sophomore edition is really mean too, but I think the original. Because it was like a style exercise, because I wanted to make it like a Goosebumps, like a dirty Goosebumps novel.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of that stuff that I was trying to make fun of didn't come across. It just came across as mean.
Dude, when Homeboy shot Andy in the hand with a gun after he accidentally
I fucking lolled
him,
so hard.
I was so mad. I was like, you asshole.
That to me is that high school shit where it's like, man, if these guys were really like in a life or death situation, they would be mutilating each other. They would be at each other's throats. They really, all the stuff that they don't like about each other would come out. Would be like really front of mind. Mm-hmm. And
and they're still immature, so that's where that whole just like, you know what, I'm still gonna get you back, even though we have these things after us right now.
Right, and they still hold grudges. Everyone's still holding grudges. Like, and that was so 90s to me. Like the idea. There's also a lot of stuff where like something terrible will happen, and then immediately the characters are like, okay, let's go do this other thing. And that's a 90s thing.
The thing I just got to, where they met up with their buddies on the 8th floor.
Yeah.
And they decide, all this is going on, they decide, well, we're just going to relax and drink for a little bit.
We got to have a party.
It's the illusion of safety.
Yeah, exactly. Illusion of safety. And like, they also decide really easily that it's fine. Like they turn on the TV and they see that the TV's still going. So they're like, it's fine.
Oh, so the world's still moving around.
Yeah, the world's still fine. So it's like, I really wanted them to, that's also another 90s thing where it's like, oh, let's have a party. let's make it like fun. And so they need to keep having parties. And I wanted it to be like, you almost see kind of somebody behind the author going, they need to have a party here. It's been too long since they've been able to like fuck each other or drink and stuff. So get them to fuck each other. Like, because right then, like, there's a couple of characters have sex in the shower, and it's it's
standing
like
up.
Yeah, and it's like this big romantic moment for a couple of people, and then it's like this weird moment for a couple others. And so, yeah, I love, like, they need to have a party.
Right.
I mean, they bought all that alcohol. Why not?
They're gonna it goes to waste, right?
Well, they already paid for it.
So.
Yeah.
They charged them extra because the credit card didn't work.
Yeah, exactly. So in essence, the book is about a group of high school students who go to a prom and it gets infested by zombies. That's just the complete simplification of it.
Zombies at a prom, it's called Prombies.
Yes, it's entertaining. I enjoyed it. I mean, yeah, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed it. It was, you originally wrote it as a screenplay, correct?
Yeah. I wrote it as a script when I was going to SBCC, Santa Barbara City College. Mm-hmm. And I was with, like, all my buddies were film majors and I was a film major, but they were all going to the UC and they were all taking like really cool classes, and they were like taking classes in like Italian cinema, and they were like talking about their teachers and stuff. So I was kind of like this outsider guy who was trying to write and trying to put this stuff together. And so Prombies was kind of the script I wrote on my own to like kind of show those guys like, hey, look, I'm a writer too. Like, you guys are all taking writing courses. I can do it without writing courses. Right. And like that's part of why like it's so cruel and it's so mean.
Because it was taken from that bitterness that was going on in your life.
Exactly. And there's a lot of bitterness in it still now that it's a book, but I wanted it to be like, I wanted it to be Saved by the Bell, but then zombies show up. So like, I really don't like stories where the zombies or like the monsters or whatever show up so early you don't give a shit. Like, you're like, I don't care who Elizabeth is because I haven't spent 45 pages with her. Like, if it starts at the prom, then you're like, oh, well, I don't like, okay, then it's just kind of like this action thing. And then it's like, these beats you already recognize. And I really wanted it to be like, okay, you get to know who these dumb kids are. And then maybe when they start getting into jeopardy, you give a shit.
It's easy to sometimes throw away just characters just because the way they're written is in a way you don't care. So their death or their heroic moment doesn't mean anything. And it's just like...
And there are those characters in Prombies specifically for the express purpose of killing them off. And then the narrator even says, you know, I that's why I killed off all the secondary characters a minute ago. Like he mentions it because
what was the name of that black teacher you had at Salesian?
Which
I think he was your theology teacher.
I never had him. He was a teacher at the school. I forget. He had a wife too. I forget their names.
I was wondering if that's who Turd. What was his name?
Turd Barfler.
Turd Barfler was based after.
And of course, the principal's name has to be like
something fucking ridiculous.
It has to be something ridiculous, and I really wanted them to say like, "Oh, what's up, Turd Flinger?" and for him to be like, "It's Turd Barfler. Get it right." Like, it's even more ridiculous than the made-up thing you made up.
Yeah.
But no, it was based on, because I did go to a Catholic school, and so it was based on like those teachers that kind of the only thing they did wrong is they were religious in our eyes as teenagers, you know, like they were like good people, they were family people, they had love for God and love for their country, and we were just like, fuck you. Like, we like, forget that. And like Turd Barfler's end in the story, I think I really wanted to make something that was undeserved. Like, he doesn't deserve that ending.
Oh no, it was fucking graphic.
But I wanted
every second of it.
Well, I love the "Told You So."
Yeah, of course.
That was the icing on the cake with that one.
Somebody needs comeuppance, and to do this story, do like a zombie story where there's like the villain is the principal. He has to be this asshole, and he has to be like he has to be like sticking it to them. But ultimately, he's not a bad guy. He's kind of right.
No,
like,
he's just following the rules.
Right, he's following the rules. He wants there to be a good prom for these kids, and he gets fucked for it. Like,
oh yeah,
I think that's scary. I think it's scarier when somebody that doesn't deserve it gets screwed over. Like, certainly, I think that's frightening.
So, horror, I think, is the genre that has the most cliche tropes in it. How did you not fall into the hole of going down those cliches? It's like your zombies were like an amalgam of all different kinds of movie zombies are. Lore zombies is like they ran.
They talked and had conversations.
Yeah, so it was this.
They rationalized things.
Yeah,
they solve problems.
Yeah, and so how did you decide on how your zombies were going to act? That's what really interested me, is how your zombies acted.
Oh, cool. Yeah, thank you. I really love Return of the Living Dead.
Mm-hmm.
And Return of the Living Dead is like this punk splatter 1985 zombie movie. And it was the first movie where zombies ran. And it's the first movie where zombies wanted to eat brains. Mm-hmm. And they rationalize it way too much in the movie. They actually capture half a zombie and they interrogate her in this really weird scene. And she talks about the pain of being dead is the reason why they eat brains. And I love that. Those are the tropes that I love. The over explanation, the idea that this thing that is super normal is now like really fucked up. Like I wanted the tropes to be like really easy to follow, so that way you could be riding along. But then I wanted the when the zombies did show up, for it to just be like, okay, it's fantasy now. Like we can do, like the idea of zombies in the first place is so goddamn stupid. Why not go 3 leagues further and be like, okay, everything's kind of stupid, right? Like they even mention like these zombies are stupid. So I loved Return of the Living Dead. And if you look at Shaun of the Dead and you look at the original Dawn of the Dead, they pulled all that shit for Shaun of the Dead out of the original Dawn of the Dead. There's like music cores, the cues, there's soundtrack stuff, there's lines, the way the zombies act, everything comes from Dawn of the Dead. It's like a sequel to Dawn of the Dead. So I wanted to do that exact thing for Return of the Living Dead. I wanted the characters to even say these are Return of the Living Dead style zombies. You know, like you cut them up into pieces, the pieces still come after you. Like that's in Return of the Living Dead. I thought that was the funniest thing. And that was like 2007, 2008.
The one in the mall.
No, the original. Well, that was 1978 was the Dawn of the Dead, and then 2004 was Shaun of the Dead.
Okay.
And so I was trying to make like 1985's Return of the Living Dead, like, oh, but we can make it in the 90s. We can make it really crazy. We can make it.
Because I love Shaun of the Dead. That movie is pretty amazing.
I love it, and there's all this shit that came. Like that was the other thing is. Zombies were played out and stupid in 2007, 2008, when I wrote it. And zombies only became more played out and more stupid as time went on. Every time they say there's a new season of The Walking Dead, it's like, oh my God, how could there still be hasn't the world ended? So
and now they have 2 new shows coming out in regards
to spin-offs, right?
Yeah. One show just started last Sunday, and there's a new spin-off starting either next year or whenever. I don't know. This year's a dumpster fire, and I don't think any industry is more affected by it outside of healthcare than the entertainment industry.
Yeah,
because you just don't know what you're gonna get. There's so much stuff being announced now. You don't know what even is gonna get greenlit or what's getting greenlit, if it's even gonna make it to your eyeballs. You know.
Well, and even at like a local level, you have people that rely on working live shows that just can't. You know, you have working comedians and musicians and people that tour and people that are able to eke out a living because they have fans in kind of enough cities to get around, and now it's just fucked.
Well, I think there's a lot of now they're doing. I know somebody at work was talking about. She was excited because her and her boyfriend were going to watch a virtual concert. I mean, it was like $12, so I mean, at least the band's still making some money. But you know, they planned on getting dressed up, sitting from the TV and really just like enjoying the show like they would. Obviously, you can't enjoy it quite as much. But then there's a lot of comedians that are doing. I think I know some bands doing drive-in shows.
Yeah.
Which is becoming the new thing where you can drive in, you stay in your car, you're not interacting with anybody.
It's like distancing built in.
Yeah, right. So it's kind of bringing back that old school theater vibe, but it's just you got to find a way to overcome and adapt to keep things moving, I guess.
I think this is definitely a good time for drive-ins. Like drive-ins, they obviously can't operate in the way that they were. I mean, just in regards to workers and everything, it's like you probably can't have an open snack stand. But I mean, let's be honest, how many people were actually buying snacks at a drive-in anyway? You pack that shit in your trunk and you take it out as soon as the movie starts. You got your fried chicken, you got your drinks, you got your three cousins in the trunk.
So you've got your handle of vodka. You've got your gallon of orange juice. So you can
it's like you're having a party at the because usually you get to see 2 movies. That's how the ones out here work. They're usually it's a double feature, and it's like these. It's a shitty time, but there are ways to capitalize on the situation in regards to in regards to a monetized way.
Yeah.
And I see the theater over here has they're selling the popcorn. That's their thing. Like they're like, come buy our popcorn.
Insane to me. A friend of mine who I work with in the hospital said they do that just regularly. They go to the movie theater and buy popcorn. I'm just like, that's odd to me.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, there is a certain magic to theater popcorn, I guess, but you can buy the theater version of the
mold.
Popcorn.
That's not magic.
Yeah.
There's something wrong. There's something growing in there.
Yeah.
Well, my mom she'd buy the biggest size because you get a free refill, and then that way she'd get a free refill on the back, and then on the way out she'd have popcorn for the rest of the week.
That's pretty smart.
And
it's what is it? Only $2 more for the large. Remember upselling at Barnes and Noble, Dan?
Oh yeah. Oh.
Did you guys both work at Barnes and Noble?
I ended up working there after high school. I got a job there. I remember my last day was the day I missed the Janet Jackson boob exposure at the Super Bowl.
Didn't you work for me that day?
I worked for what's her name? I forget. I don't remember anyone's name.
I don't either. Don't worry about it. Only people I remember are the people I'm friends with on Facebook now.
Right.
Yeah. Jesus.
How was working at Barnes and Noble? Was it fun?
That is a great question. I will say this. Working on the ambulance made me a better human. Mm-hmm. Working at Barnes and Noble made me a person, if that makes sense.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Well, how old were you when you guys got hired?
When I first started working there, I was 16. That was my first job ever.
And
I actually worked there, and then I got a job immediately at Party City at the same time.
Oh, that's right.
Party City was the worst job that I ever had. It was the worst.
That store was the worst store to be in.
Yeah. Oh God, that was terrible. And I got hired for Halloween, which is their Christmas.
Oh. Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was interesting.
Seasonal work.
Yeah, the assistant manager loved me, but the store manager hated me. So it's like, I'm sure there was an argument in whether I got kept or not. And I wasn't going to stay anyway, because that job both sucked and blowed, as Bart Simpson said so eloquently. But one of the things I loved the most about working at Barnes & Noble is there was this interesting mixture of young people and adults. Mm-hmm. And so it's like it forced me to mature in a way because I got the job at such a young age.
Right.
So I was 16. I didn't know shit. And I worked in the cafe. That was the first job I ever was a manager. I was a supervisor. I was the go-to guy.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, he was a damn good one too. I remember, and we got an espresso machine for Christmas a couple years ago, and every day I wake up and make a latte, and I think of how Chris taught me to make a latte. Every morning.
I appreciate that. You honor me, sir.
We have something in common. Chris supervised both of us.
Oh wow, we're both subordinates.
I know. Bow down.
And I mean, I suppose. I mean, I like. it's weird. I genuinely don't give a shit what people think about me, but I like when people like me. You know,
it feels good.
It's this weird conflicting statement there. I mean, I genuinely, if you like me, that's fucking amazing. If you don't like me, I'll go cry home about it, you know, but I won't let you know I hate it.
Right, exactly. I think that's the difference as you get older. I think when you're younger, you don't really, you tend to care less. Well, in high school, either you're part of the group that you worry about what everybody thinks about you, and you think everybody has to like you. And then there's another group that I was in that really didn't care if you liked me or not, and I wasn't afraid to show it, which kind of gets you in trouble sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think some people never grow out of that, and that's kind of the problem. I've noticed there's some people that, you know, they feel that everybody has to like them. Everybody has to agree with them all the time. And I mean, when you're looking at what's going on right now, when it comes to, I mean, not just politics, just everything in general, you know, everyone's got their opinion, everyone's got their thing to say. And the fact that some people can't be in the same room with somebody who has an opposite opinion of them is just, it's mind-boggling. Like, you should be able to, you know what I mean? Like, everybody, like, I've worked, especially since I moved to Arizona, I've come across some people that I work with who definitely do not have the same
mental capacities and or thought processes as you.
Right. And it's like, and I'll listen to you. I'll hear what you have to say. I'm not going to, you know, try and make you feel like a bad person, put you down for your opinions. That's how you feel. If I can't change, I can tell you how I feel. And if I tell you how I feel and it doesn't change the way you think, that is what it is. But don't hate me for that reason. I'm not going to hate you. There are some things that you may not like that I can't respect you for.
Oh yeah.
You know, and that's the difference. I'm not going to hate you. I'm not going to wish poorly upon you.
Just going to disassociate with you.
Exactly. I'm just not
going to stop listening.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Like, you know,
I'm not going to blow up in your face. I'm not going to, you know, talk bad behind your back. We're just not compatible, you know, and that's all it is. But you should still be able to have a conversation with somebody that you don't always agree on.
Yeah. I think what gets me in regards to the whole left side, right side thing is just the general, and I'm speaking about this generally, it's the hypocrisy from both sides. It's, you have, how can I put this?
Here we go.
It's I got
a
my alcohol.
Time code stamp.
A little
stamp on this one. Should I go grab a beer?
Yeah. What are you drinking, Chris?
I was drinking. It was Reposado tequila with margarita mix that's comes pre-mixed from Costco with some Monster mixed in it.
Jesus Christ.
I work nights, man. So like days is hard for me. It's like today even, I'll be tired all day. 8 o'clock will come around and I'll be like, hello everybody.
That's your circadian rhythm. Kevin, what are you drinking?
It's fucking ridiculous. And like I said last podcast, because I split like my extra shifts between my normal shifts.
Well, Summerfest. Sierra Nevada. I said bring it back to
like Sierra Nevada.
California beer this week.
I like have you some of the summer shandies that some of the other places have? They're fucking delicious. Burps.
I like the, what is it? Login Keel, whatever. I can never remember how to pronounce it.
Oh yeah, that one. Yes, that one with the different shandies.
Yeah, it's their lemon one is really good. Especially
they have a pumpkin one as well, which is also fucking delicious.
Hot summer day, perfect beer for out here.
Hot summer day. What's up, girl?
Hey, we're under 100 today. What?
It is currently 67 degrees outside right now.
It was 68 when I walked the dog this morning.
Oh, whoa.
6:30. I know. I had to put a jacket on.
Well, you have to put a jacket on when it's 80 degrees outside. Where I'm just like, I'm so hot.
But you can only have so many of them. I think 2's the limit before it's like, all right, I gotta switch over to something else. But anyways, I think you were about to hit something deep there.
Oh yeah, we derailed you.
Derailed so hard, but that's what this show is. But what gets me is the hypocrisy of both sides. It's like you will rail upon the opposite candidate for things that your candidate also has. And for me, anytime you're presented with new information that counters your point and doesn't change your opinion, to me, that's just ignorance. And it's like, I get it. A lot of times people vote with their pocketbook as opposed to their moral compass. And that shows sometimes based on like Black Republicans. That'll confuse me. But it's like, I get it. You're voting with your pocketbook and you're voting with what is best for you, but not necessarily what's best for society. And a lot of times you don't know what's best for society. It's like people hate the governor of California with a passion.
They hate him out here.
Yeah, and I get it. It's hard to see the bigger picture in a lot of things, and a lot of times they vote or they put policies in for now versus the bigger picture.
Right.
And that can turn into a lot of gobbledygook, if you will, and make the overall picture muddied. And it becomes this, I don't know, this thing where it's hard to see the bigger picture, if you know what I mean. And I think no side is 100% right, obviously. No one person is 100% right. There's just no way you can be right all the time. It's impossible.
No, there's no way.
It's the problem with candidates.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is a problem with two candidates. It's a problem with two candidates. The
two-party system.
The two-party system is really bad, and there's no real way to fix it. The problems of this world are not an easy fix. It's toppling the whole system.
I don't
think anyone is ready to have that conversation yet.
No one wants to set themselves on fire in front of the Capitol building yet. Until things are that bad, you won't get a revolution.
And it's like when President Trump got sick, or as some people say Trump, or when people say 45, I
don't like when people on Twitter like bleep out words they don't like. I think that's stupid and played out.
Yeah, that's Twitter for you, though. Twitter is a dumpster fire.
I'm still figuring out Twitter.
And your only avenue through Twitter is our podcast.
I had another one. What was my Twitter handle? It was like anal seepage 69. I'm sure it's still out there somewhere.
That's from the nursing home, right?
Oh, and then I had what was it? Like Lil Spoon, because
it's always nice to be the Little Spoon sometimes.
That was my rap name, DJ Lil Spoon.
That's pretty good.
DJ or PJ?
That's gonna be my rap name is DJ.
Yeah.
Lil Spoon.
Yeah.
Lil
Spoon.
Lil. What the fuck was I saying? Damn it.
Sorry.
All right.
Derailed the podcast.
Derailed the podcast. That's what we should name it.
You guys, I hate to drop this bomb on you so late.
Oh, here we go.
Into the third episode, but I have to tell you this because I looked for your podcast when it first started. There is another podcast called Because Why Not?
Fuck them.
Is that? Ah, damn it.
How many episodes do they have?
Like 50.
Whatever.
Hey, we're almost there. We'll surpass that.
Just start doing them daily until you get it more than her.
Just train them out. I gotta remember not to yell into my goddamn mic.
Are your levels hot? Are you gonna?
My levels are a little hot.
Yell all you want. I don't care.
I'll fix it in post.
There you go. What's up?
I'm fancy using my industry lingo.
Do you got Pro Tools open right now?
I actually use SoundForge because I know.
Because you are a sound blacksmith apparently that isn't working at a SoundForge.
But so what was I saying about fucking politics?
You were saying that both sides are bad, and I think it's important to recognize, I think a lot of times people are like, hey, you don't agree with me about this hot button issue, therefore I don't like you.
Yeah.
And I think that's really reductivist. There's so many other reasons to not like someone.
More pertinent, more obvious reasons,
something
as opposed
stupid
to
that they're something stupid that they were raised believing in is not any reason to get mad at someone. I think, like you said, if you were raised a certain way and then you're presented with conflicting information or a bigger view of the world, like a lot of people are, and you change your mind about it, then yeah, you're becoming a person. But if you have this insular view of the world and everything you do supports that, and every piece of media you consume also supports that you are so special and you need to be protected, and your world can't be bigger than your own face. You can only trust people that look like you. When people start doing that, that's when it breaks for me. It's like people on Twitter or whatever, like right-wing assholes are always like, oh, the tolerant left. Whenever some left-wing asshole says something, they're always making fun of the idea that leftists pretend to be tolerant. And it's like, well, in order to truly be tolerant, you cannot tolerate intolerance. That actually goes against what you're trying to do. So that type of bullshit kind of keeps us from actually attacking the people in power and getting our money back from them that they've stolen from us, because that's what it's really about. And I couldn't believe in 2016 when people were like, oh, Trump's, he's not the business as usual. He's not from the swamp. It's like, well, this guy's just a different kind of con man. This guy's like the business criminal asshole instead of the government asshole. And now it's like, okay, you're looking at fascism. You're looking down the barrel of fascism. And it's like, okay, do you want business as usual politician asshole who's been unreliable and unable to do anything for 30 years, and then suddenly he was sold to us on the promise that he has a black friend? Or do you want the guy? I mean it.
I mean, you're not wrong there.
Because before then, Biden was like, there was an image of Biden. He was this career politician, and then suddenly he's cool. Suddenly he's high five worthy, and
he's
then
a cool uncle.
And you have on the other side somebody who was just always a business criminal asshole. There was never a moment where Trump was like, oh, I'm not going to be a business criminal asshole. That's what they elected him on. People were like, wow, yeah, run the US like a business. And now you have the USPS. They pulled money out of it. They're pulling money out of the VA. They're pulling money. They want to privatize all these systems. With another 4 years of that, it becomes, well, we're fucking RoboCop.
Yeah, they want to privatize all of it. That's how, because I worked for TSA government. I worked for USPS government.
Right.
And that's one thing that, since the election happened, there's always been talks of privatizing, even TSA. And it's a topic of discussion. I understand from a business standpoint why they don't want to go that direction, but at the same time, I don't see how it happen.
There needs to be services. There just has to be services that go on that don't need to make money. Not everything should be in the pursuit of more capital. That's wrong. In fact, isn't the need for a mail service like in the Constitution? It's supposed to be something that we have as a country. It's not supposed to be something you could tie up and hold hostage and throw on some train tracks and be like, we're gonna fucking kill this thing if you don't whatever. And now Trump's doing the stimulus. He's like, I'm not gonna give y'all money until you reelect me.
No, he's holding hostage. Same with the whole he's holding the post office. He was holding hostage from the get-go. That was his immediate, I'm not helping you guys out, whatever. And now he's doing it with the second round of stimulus checks that were supposed to come out, and then it's like, you know what? We're actually going to stop all conversations until this is over.
Until 5 hours later, he's like,
and then he's like,
what?
Wait a second, that probably wasn't a good idea. But I don't know. I'm not huge into politics. It's not my specialty. Once again, it's talking here. It's not something I know a lot about. I try and follow and have my opinions here and there. But
and that's not it's hard sometimes. It is just like legalese. It is politics is performed in a way where the layman or the common person can't understand it. It is.
It's purposefully obfuscated.
Yeah.
They fuck with it on purpose. Like the tax code.
Yeah.
That they wanted to make the government was like, hey, we want you to be able to type in your social security number and we'll tell you how much taxes you owe. And TurboTax and Quicken got together lobbying groups and said, no, you can't do that. We have to be able to make money doing this shit. Keep your tax code purposefully fucked up. They forced that.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Knowledge
There's
bomb.
no reason. And that's the privatization thing where it's like, okay, well, we've essentially now privatized doing taxes. We've made a space for these lecherous third parties to come in and suck like the refuse out of the bottom of the drain of capitalism. It's like, why do I have to pay someone to do my taxes? Why doesn't the government tell me how much I owe them? They should know. What is the IRS doing all year then?
That's interesting because I've used TurboTax for like the last 1700 years.
I use H&R Block.
It's so confusing. This was the first year we had to do it after buying a house
and getting married too,
and
right?
trying to figure all this stuff out. I was just like, we were so stressed out, and it's like, what? I just want to put my information in and be done with it. But
so did they. They wanted to do that, and TurboTax said, "Nuh-uh."
That's complicated.
That's one of the easier, but not necessarily the most logical ways to look at propositions, is to look who's backing it and how much money they put into the proposition.
Don't even get me started on Proposition 22 here in California.
What is that one?
That's the gig worker one. AB 15 came out and saying like a couple years ago, yeah? Was that a couple years ago?
I think so, yeah.
That needed to qualify gig workers as... That
was like a year ago.
Yeah.
I think.
They needed to qualify gig workers as actual employees, and that changed the infrastructure of gig working to where you couldn't work a certain way. So a lot of fairs shut down, a lot of other things shut down because they couldn't pay beans to people, and they would have to start acting as an employer. So they would have to do all the things legally mandated.
Like healthcare, get them healthcare.
Yeah, legally mandated of an employer. Healthcare, protection of jobs. And California is a unique state, and it's an at-will company. I mean, it's an at-will state, but in a different way. I don't know the full specifics of it, just because that's not my forte, but you can be hired and fired, but you have certain protections.
Well, if you're a protected class, you're protected. But if you have, so like the way that they responded, the companies like Uber and Lyft and Grubhub and Dine Dash, or Food Mart, whatever, Food Do You Fast, they all were like, oh, you want us to make them employees? Well, we're going to introduce a bill that says it essentially keep it the way it is. We want to be able to not make them employees. We want to be able to not pay them healthcare.
Right.
And that's the ads that you're seeing are all people of color. They're all women, and they're all looking right at the camera and going, I love being an independent contractor. I love saving up. I love having a little bank account that I put in a little bit of money every month, because then when my taxes come, I have to pay out of pocket for it because nobody's keeping track of that for me. And I love having to pay out of pocket for healthcare. It's a bunch of bullshit.
Well, that's what I know some people that ran into trouble because they didn't understand how much they should put aside for taxes. Right. And then, at the end of the year, it's like, wait, I owe what? I don't have that. I don't have
being an independent contractor. I worked for a place in San Francisco, an auction company, and they had an auction that was going on, and I helped them set up. I worked 8 days in a row under the assumption that in California, I think every 6th day in a row.
Hold on one second. You're breaking up.
Hello?
Yeah, there you go. You're clear now. Go ahead.
I worked, 8 days in a row, under the assumption that my last 3 days would be overtime days, because that's how it works in California. And I was told on my 8th day, no, you're an independent contractor. You don't get paid. We don't take the taxes out for you. You just get straight cash, and you have to pay everything at the end. And I walked out. I literally walked out of that building.
Makes sense.
It was so fucked up.
For me, I don't think it should have made it to a ballot in the first place. That's something just like Prop 11 last year, or not last year, a couple of years ago, with the healthcare workers, where they wanted to be mandated breaks, and it's like that should have been something that we, as healthcare workers, negotiated with our own companies, but it turned into a ballot thing, and the way they word things, as you say, it obfuscates just the actual issue, makes it unclear. So you don't, in the end, you don't know what you're voting for.
Right. And the way they word it is like, I have to like read it 8 times. I have to sit there and read it over and over again to be like, I have to do that thing, you know, like in English class where you write the sentence on the board and you pick out the nouns and verbs. I have to do that because it's like, okay, in order to not, and then also, and all these words are like, well, what the fuck is this even? What is this? And like you said, Chris, to begin this, it's like, if you see, you know, an ad every commercial break, and if that's the big money. Those are the people that are the big money. Those are the people that are trying to screw you usually. And they're coming up with a ballot measure to be like, hey, look, they caught us. They're gonna fuck us out of business if you guys don't just give us some of the money. And it's crazy that, yeah, like you said, why is this a ballot? How did it get
why
this
is this
far?
a proposition in the first place? You're just like
that shows you the dirty money.
It shouldn't be something that the common person should be voting for. Right. I mean, it's like we have this thought in hope that politicians and just general government has our best interests in heart, which is not always the case. I mean, there's some good people out there, but the machine that is government eventually can change the way you look at things, you know?
We got 207 this one to legalize marijuana.
Interesting.
All right.
But I don't think it's gonna pass.
No, I mean,
not this time. In California, it didn't pass. It
took like 3 times for it.
I've heard that it's been up on the ballot before, here. Obviously, before I was here, but
you're in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll see. I mean, I've definitely seen. Actually, it's funny because on Facebook, I ended up getting the only thing I've seen is a no on Proposition 207. I haven't seen anything for it. But reading all the comments, everyone's like, what are you talking, like, legalize it.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting any, from what I saw, there wasn't any negative feedback from it. Although when I was reading the information on, you know, where the taxes are going to go, there was a lot more pages of people that were against the proposition than there were for it here in Arizona. I mean,
who were the people who were against it though? Do you remember?
No, I know one lady said that, you know, she was against it because her son killed himself, and in his suicide note, he wrote, "Marijuana made me do this."
My God.
I'm not laughing at the fact that he killed himself.
No, it's not. But
I'm laughing because that sounds like the most made up bullshit I've ever heard.
That's exactly what I thought too. I was like, you gotta be kidding. Like, that doesn't make it like.
What? If anything, it's gonna be that prescription you got me that made me kill myself. That's real. That Accutane you got me made me kill myself.
It's crazy to me that it's still not legal everywhere.
At least you don't even have to make it legal. Decriminalize it.
Thank you.
That's I think that is at least weed. I mean, speaking of other drugs in general, you can make an argument for a lot of different drugs. Only drugs you can't really make an argument for is meth. Don't do meth, kids.
Right.
Oh, God, no. Meth is bad here.
I can imagine.
Maybe that's why they want to get the weed legalized, to get the kids off meth.
One can hope.
Mm-hmm. Just decriminalize it, you know? Decriminalize weed. It's like if people are in jail too for just possession of marijuana and have no other
That's crazy to me.
You're propagating the prisoners for profit program that is all across the United States.
Legalized slavery. You're putting people into legalized slavery, and that's so fucked up that I could go on my phone, not even talk to anyone, order weed online and it shows up at my front door later that day, and there's a guy in jail for selling it.
Yeah.
How
That's
fucking
what
dare they?
In California, there's still people in jail.
I know.
For,
And
for
hey,
weed.
see, if you're talking about that both sides shit, Kamala's responsible for throwing people in jail
Yeah.
for weed. She was the district attorney for California, wasn't she?
She was the attorney general for California. She was a district attorney for Alameda County.
That's right. Oh, where the pinball museum is.
Yeah, there's a ping pong museum in Alameda County.
Oh, pinball wizard.
Yeah,
it's a pretty good place. Check it out. It's in Alameda. Alameda County includes like Berkeley and Oakland too.
It goes. Alameda County is huge.
Yeah,
it's probably one of the, besides Yolo County, I think it's the largest county besides LA County. There's some huge counties, huge area codes up here too.
California is like its own country.
Huge. 530 is huge. Anyway, derail the podcast.
Derailed. The special edition derailed with somebody else derailing it too.
Yeah, it's not just us two assholes. We have another asshole with us.
There we
Yay!
go. Yeah. Well, so anyway, so the holidays are coming up. I know a lot of people love Halloween. This year's gonna be a little different.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Do you think people should still go trick or treating?
I'm not against it. I think people need to be smart about it.
Yeah.
We're still trying to figure out exactly how we want to do it. It's on a Saturday, which is cool.
That's awesome.
How often does Halloween fall on a Saturday?
Once every 7 years.
There we go. Once every 7 years. Thanks for answering that question.
Don't have to do the math yourself. You're like, cover the one.
But this is actually going to be the first year in a very long time that
on a Saturday.
I get to hand out.
Yeah.
I have the opportunity to hand out some candy, which I'm kind of excited about.
Oh, that's awesome.
The first time was when I was living in Martinez, and I know Chris, even to the house, we were at the bottom of this hill.
Yeah, I bet you got no trick-or-treating.
We were super stoked that we got the neighbor kids across the street. and that was it.
And that's it? Yeah, that's how it was here.
So you gave yourself diabetes over the next 3 weeks eating all that candy.
Well, last year I was working on Halloween, and by the time I got off, Danielle was like, "We're out of candy. You got to go." So I stopped to get some more candy on the way home, and then obviously by the time I got home, nobody else showed up.
Right. That's always
so
how
you
it
gave yourself diabetes again. The sugars.
I'm thinking maybe we'll just set up a bowl outside and kind of, open up the garage or something. But
just get a slingshot and just load the candy and fire them at the kids and have them hold the bags up.
I saw some things. Some guy created some like tube thing. So he was like on the second floor. He would drop candy through this tube, and it would end up down at the bottom of the piping for the kids, which I think,
a potato gun.
Yeah, so I think the kids would find that kind of cool too.
That'd be awesome.
He's got to find a way to make it creative, and I know a lot of people on Nextdoor are trying to figure out exactly what's going on this year.
Yeah, they've got the map where you can you put in your address and then you can see it on the map, so kids don't Yeah, and
it'll tell you. I know last year you can put down, if you're gonna have candy, if you're gonna have a haunted house, you can add different things to let kind of people know in the area what's.
So Nextdoor is doing that, where you can kind of have a candy map.
Yep.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, they did it last year too, and like I said, they added the haunted house thing. Some people, I know there are some people that posted on there that usually have like a huge haunted house thing that, for reasons that we all know, they're not doing it this year. But I think passing out candy, a little bit of normality for some kids it's not a bad thing as long as you're smart about it.
This year has definitely been a dumpster fire, and it's not even over yet. 7 or 8 months into this pandemic,
with 7 or 8 months to go.
Yeah, our 10.
No, January 1st, it all ends. Starts all over.
Here's hoping,
How has it been with kids, Chris?
Yeah, I don't have any.
It's at the beginning, my daughter, who was 11 at the time, she's 12 now. It was an interesting exercise in futility and trying to get her to understand the importance of staying inside. Now it's a kind of in regards to pods, like it's like my mom and our pod are kind of combined. So it's like we'll go in between our houses, but we won't go anywhere else. You know what I mean? So it's like that has been an outlet for my daughter. It's going to my mom's house or my sister's house too as well. She's part of our little pod, if you will.
Sure. So she's still seeing her family.
Yeah, but she's resigned to the fact of what's going on now. She's because, especially with distance learning starting, it's more advantageous to have her do it at home, especially since I work nights, so I can come home, see her start, get her going, and then I go to sleep. But it has, some days are definitely easier than others. That's parenting. That's parenting. And would I change anything for the world? No. I love being a parent. It is probably the greatest thing that I've ever done is become a parent.
Well, you were making dad jokes when you were 17.
I mean, you're not wrong. But I think working in healthcare and being a parent, I think, is what I was supposed to do. And there's certain dominoes that fell in my life that pushed me in this direction. And I am very appreciative of those dominoes falling that got me to where I am now. Am I where I want to be? No. Am I doing everything that I want to do? No. But I'm not bemoaning where I am now. It's just I know I need to push forward. You know, I need to keep moving forward. Forward, always.
That's what Cesar Millan says. You gotta keep the dogs moving forward.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been watching a lot of Dog Whisperer lately.
Really?
Good show.
He's a Latino guy, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Cesar Millan.
He jumped the border.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For him.
I've actually. It's funny because in the last, so I listened to. I found that you can actually check out audiobooks through your local library. I didn't know that.
Well, that's awesome.
Before COVID was a thing, I really started to capitalize on the library. You can get so much stuff from the library.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I just, like I said, I use it for audio. So that's actually the last Dresden book I listened to instead of downloading it through I found it on there and it just plays right through a little easier. Blood Rights.
Oh, your library allows you to do it online?
Yeah. So
cool.
So over the last week, not only I've been trying to read Prombies in my spare time, and then I've been listening to I finished Blood Rights, and then I also listened to 2 of Cesar Millan's books.
Oh, cool.
A lot of different aspects of life.
Yeah, that's
but we've also, like I said, we've
different genres there.
A lot of Cesar Millan, and say what you will about. I never really got into it, and I never really understood his view on dog training, or as he calls it, people training and dog rehabilitating.
Right.
But we've actually we've done a lot of work with we have she's about 4 years old. Her name's Pancake. She's our baby girl. We got her after Meatball passed away. We've had her about 7 months.
Rest in peace, Meatball.
That guy. It's watching the show. We've realized we did a lot of things wrong with him.
But I mean, you didn't. In your defense, you didn't get Meatball when he was young. He was already an older dog when you.
No, we got. He was about 1.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he actually. Yeah, I know, right? It's hard to think about. We had him.
Jesus.
I know he still was.
He was huge.
What kind of a dog was Meatball?
He was a pit bull.
Yeah.
And what kind of a dog is Pancake?
She's also a pit bull.
Oh, okay.
They're highly available at your local.
People don't want them. They have a misconception of them.
People are terrified of them.
It's also hard when you're like, I rent myself, so it's hard to rent and have a large dog.
Especially
like my dog is a Labrador Rottweiler mix. If I say Rottweiler, they'd be like, no, bro, fuck that shit.
No, yeah.
But just if I say Labrador, it's like, oh.
Well, we have a tiny little 6-pound. I guess he's like 8 pounds now, but he's a Chihuahua. And like you said, we had a dog that passed away tragically. We had a little baby Chihuahua, and she died before she was a year old because the dog walker dropped her. Ooh. And it was really traumatic for us. It took us a long time to get over it. We never really got over it, obviously, but we ended up getting a dog that was like that dog's brother, half brother. Right. So they shared a dad. And it's that same thing where it's like, oh man, like everything we hear, all the stuff about training and stuff, we're like, we're really fucked up with Evie. Like,
right.
And raising this one, it's been like, oh, you know, like he wants to go out and walk. Let's take him out and walk. I remember Evie wants to go out and walk. She'll be fine. Like, maybe we should have taken her on a walk.
That's one of the funny things too, is especially listen, like, obviously his book, he has this ideal world where dogs are around, and like, you know, he talks about, you know, in his psychology center, they're doing 4-hour training sessions in the morning of intensity running, walking. No one has time for that. You can't follow this regimen, but
right.
you know, he talks about how, you know, just because if you have a yard, you know, that's not a walk. That's not them releasing energy. And you find all these little quirks that, especially, I mean, I love Meatball. He was my boy.
He was a good boy.
He was great. And he was wonderful with people. He actually did really well with dogs up until there was an altercation to
Oh, yeah, the dog park, huh?
It was just at the local park. They were in like a baseball field and the gate was open. And I mean, I don't understand. Like, the owners, they had 2 pit bulls. They left the gate open, and we just happened to be walking by the park, and they came out, and, you know, they were greeting each other, and then the 2 turned on Meatball, and, you know, after that, he just, you know, he wasn't secure on other dogs, and then obviously I probably didn't follow up the way I should have in, you know, training and working with him, but you know, over the last, I mean, month that we've been working with Pancake, I mean, we've seen day and night changes with her. So
was she an adoption as well?
Yeah, we got her at the pound. It was
PSA, if you can, folks, adopt, please. Ours are, what are they called? Shelters are overrun with animals. Well, not now so much. I mean, a lot of places are reporting that they're empty because of the pandemic, but adopt if you can, and make sure you have the responsibility innate in you to take care of this, because you are maybe this animal's second or third home, and they've been traumatized already. So you need to cultivate an environment of love for these people because they're already damaged.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is, you know, we keep an eye on our local shelter's website, you know, all the time. And it's unfortunate, since we've gotten Pancake, we've already seen several dogs that have been returned 2 or 3 times since in the last 6 months, you know, just because they had, you know, people can handle them on a walk. They couldn't, you know, this, that, and the other, you know, there's some sort of reason why they couldn't handle them. So, I mean, if you want a dog, just be prepared for the responsibility.
Mm-hmm. And it's a responsibility.
And it's a living thing. People think it's an accessory, or it can be something you just put away, and it's not. It's a dog. It's a being that loves you unconditionally. Treat it with respect.
Exactly. And they will take care of you. You know, if you're having, I think it's one of the biggest things too, when it comes to, you know, dealing with stress and dealing with things, especially when we first moved out here, we didn't have anybody. We still, I mean, it's just Danielle, me, and, you know, at the time it was Meatball, and now we have Pancake, but I don't have family out here. I don't have anybody, you know, and the first month we were here, Meatball was back at home, and it was tough. And then we found a place that takes pit bulls. Once we got them out here, I mean, that was just, you know, they're there for you. If you're having a bad day, it doesn't matter. They're there. They're always going to be by your side. They're going to do whatever they can, you know?
Yeah. Every time I look at my dog, it just makes me happy.
Mm-hmm. Right? Same for me and Jax. I love my dog.
Well, there's something about petting a dog too that just, that connection, you feel it. And if you're not a dog person, you won't understand it. But if you've ever been in a situation where you're upset, you're down, and you have that opportunity to bond one-on-one with a dog, there's nothing better.
Nope.
Nothing better.
They become an extension of who you are as a person, because they start to adopt your traits.
Good or bad.
Good or bad.
And that's why the responsibility, you know, it's easy to make fun of. I think before I had a dog, I used to think the word pet parent was like this ridiculous bullshit. And now I'm like, yeah, I'm a fucking pet parent. Don't disparage my job as a pet. It's like, they take on you. If you mistreat a living being, you will make it. It's the Voldemort story, you know, like it will eventually be fucked up because it got fucked up and nobody helped.
Right.
So help.
Yes. Yes. And don't just adopt a dog because it's cute. Have an attachment. Don't just want the dog and then ignore it. Take care of it. Enjoy it.
This has been Dog Talk.
Dog Talk.
Derailed the Dog Talk podcast.
Hey, nothing wrong.
Yeah, this ambulance talk keeps getting in the way of this dog podcast.
But I think that's a good segue into something I wanted to talk about, but I don't know much information about in general. I think it's a great way to end the podcast as well, is Voldemort, J.K. Rowling, and cancel culture.
You almost said J.K. Simmons.
I did almost say J.K. Simmons.
That's awesome. I love J.K. Simmons.
He's a great actor. I still need
so
to watch
good.
Whiplash.
Oh, you should. What?
I haven't seen it yet.
That's the J.K. Simmons movie.
Yeah. He's just playing himself, I imagine.
Just this unhinged madman.
Yeah. Oh,
cancel culture?
Cancel culture. How do you guys feel about cancel culture?
Give me an example.
It's like,
yeah, that's the thing. Is like cancel culture is a big thing. Like, tell me about a specific person that got canceled, and I'll tell you how I feel about them.
Yeah, I get that. But basically, cancel culture is when someone does something wrong, usually on the Twitterverse, the world or the Twitter world will come around and cancel said person, meaning they stop liking what they've done, what they've contributed to society, as well as just generally denouncing their work. Like what I brought up with J.K. Rowling is she said some uneducated things about trans people, and it set off the spiral about people canceling Harry Potter and all her work and everything like that. Mind you, in the movies as well, the Fantastic Beasts movies aren't that great.
Cancel those anyway.
Yeah, the second one is fucking terrible.
The first one wasn't good.
I haven't seen them, but
well, I think it's like I think a lot of times cancel culture can be like a form of performative activism, because especially like I feel like we don't really have a voice. Mm-hmm. It sometimes feels like the general population doesn't have a voice. So the only thing we can really strike against these big entities or companies or corporations or whatever is to not buy that shit. That's the only, like you said, vote with your pocketbook. Like that's voting with your pocketbook. I'm not going to buy Harry Potter on digital because J.K. Rowling says this, even though I have it on Blu-ray and DVD and I own all the books and I have a Harry Potter, tattoo or whatever. It's like, well, I think especially with J.K. Rowling, it's like, well, you love the thing she made. Mm-hmm. Like you can
and it's hard because
love that thing she made.
I worked in the bookstore, and you know this, and we worked several of the events together.
Right, midnight launches. It got kids to read.
Yeah,
it's tough. It's tough for me to be like, fuck J.K. Rowling, when before her it was dumb to read. It was nerdy. It was looked down upon.
It still is. Audiobooks. That's what it's fun to listen. No, I think that kind of goes back on what I was saying earlier about being in the room with somebody who has an opposite opinion of you. And I mean, like this whole J.K. Rowling, I kind of remember kind of what happened, but it's like you said, it's an uneducated.
Basically, her stance was sex is sex. You're either male or female, and there's really no gray area. Her explanation of her reasoning is that she was assaulted when she was younger or something like that. Is that what it was?
I don't. Her rationale seems to change all the time about it.
She's also gotten like other authors to sign a petition or sign some sort of open letter she wrote. And there was like 200 of the people she got signed. But then this week, some other authors got together and signed an open letter, and there was like 10,000 of them. So she's in the scheme of overall collectivism. She's on the wrong side of history in regards to that. But I mean,
I think what people are most pissed about
vocal majority and vocal minority aren't always right.
Right. But I think what people are pissed off about her is that they did tell her like, hey, you're being shitty about this and there's no reason to be. And she doubled down on it.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I'm right. Yeah, I think her rationale that week was like,
yeah,
I don't want them to erase the idea of women. There's like this, there's this thing, and they call it like TERF. You're a trans exclusionary radical feminist, which means you believe in a version of feminism that only includes women that were born women.
Yeah, cis women, if you will.
Cis women. And so if you start putting in trans people into that and saying, okay, well, if this person in their mind, they think they're a woman, they want to be a woman, they are comfortable as a woman, but they're in a man's body. A lot of people would look at that person with a degree of empathy and say, wow, that mirrors something within myself that I'm not sure about or that I can't express to the world. But what J.K. Rowling is saying is, no, fuck that guy. He's a guy. And it's like, well, there's no, especially like if you're a billionaire, like the guy who created Minecraft, Notch, he's like some racist asshole. He was like, he was like some fear, like Iron, whatever, the neo-Nazi guys. He was one of those guys.
Oh yeah.
Really?
And it's like, well, when I boot up Minecraft and I'm putting pieces of wood together, it's not in the name of Hitler, you know. It's like it's not. There's a separation there. When I'm reading Harry Potter, I'm not being told like, hey, by the way, trans people. That's not in the story. No, that's in the rest of it. That's in, if you want to pay it. And the thing is, I don't get, because I work in public affairs for a university, when they turn on somebody, they turn on somebody. And it doesn't matter if it's a personally held belief that they're expressing in some private area, you're done, you're canceled. And it's like, well, who cares? To a certain extent, it's like, I don't give a shit what J.K. Rowling thinks about. If I gave a shit what every dumb billionaire thought, then I wouldn't buy anything.
Yeah.
Right. Like, why do you think the guy who runs Disney just made another $100 million because he fired 28,000 people during a pandemic? Like, does that mean I'm not going to buy Disney shit? Actually, yeah, that seems a little worse to me than some backwards ass belief that some 60-year-old lady has in England.
Right. Well, and the thing is, I think it like you said, it doesn't. If you enjoy what they've produced, that's one thing, and then you don't have to agree on their opinions on anything. Like, I like Harry Potter. I can give a fuck what she does in her regular life.
I mean, that begs the question, though: can you separate work versus person?
I think a lot of people can't.
Yeah,
I think that's tough, especially now that everything's personality driven. Everything's a brand. Your personality is your brand. Mm-hmm. It's tough to separate that. That doesn't exist anymore for a lot of people.
And I think a lot of things also with J.K. Rowling.
Whatever, she hates trans people. We can say her name whatever we want.
Yeah. Rowling. What?
Come on. I know y'all be loving this shit right here.
Yeah. But I think with her, as well, as she is actually writing another novel, and she made the villain
a trans guy.
Buffalo Bill style trans.
Hey, I object to that. That's Norman Bates, dude. People are like, oh, it's just like this movie that came out 5 years ago. No, that's Psycho. She's ripping off Psycho.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I mean, it's Ed Gein. It's the same kind of shit that Buffalo Bill was based on. I
didn't know that.
For a long time, there were only like 4 serial killers that every piece of media was based on. Uh-huh. And so, like, that was one of them. And yeah, in her new novel, the killer is a trans guy who is like fucked up because he's trans. Now, that's a piece of media I wouldn't consume because
that's propagating negative stereotype.
Right, and it's like
perpetrating a negative stereotype.
But you know what? Psycho, to a certain extent, does that too. And I love Psycho. It's a classic horror movie. It's one of the classics of that genre. Even though Alfred Hitchcock was a horrible piece of shit who tortured his actresses. Yeah. So am I like, where do I start being? I think the line is really gray, and I think it changes for everybody. Like, I don't want to watch. I'll watch Psycho because I know what happened in the making of Psycho. I won't watch The Birds, knowing what I know about what he did in the making. And he was throwing live birds at what's her Tippi Hedren.
Oh, yeah, I did read that recently.
He was torturing these people. Yeah. I'm not going to watch that movie because it makes me feel gross.
Because you can see the general terror on their face,
right? And
know that's real.
And you know that's real. And it like, so I think that line is based on how much do you like it? Essentially, like, do you like Harry Potter? Are you okay with the author being kind of shitty? All right, well, here you go. Like Ender's Game.
Oh,
right?
Ender's Game, the first book, is amazing.
It's one of the greatest books ever written.
Yeah, but the Orson Scott Card is one of the biggest homophobes in just general. He's a pretty despicable human.
He's abhorrent. Oh, H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah. Oh, he's terribly racist. Terribly racist.
He had a dog named the N-word.
Yes.
His dog was named the N-word.
Yes.
H.P. Lovecraft, and when you read his shit, because I was like, I love cosmic horror, I loved The Thing or whatever, yeah. So I was like, oh,
Lovecraft Country, by the way, is a pretty amazing show.
The best show on TV.
Yeah.
I got the complete edition of H.P. Lovecraft, and I read it, and he's racist in the stories.
Uh-huh.
The stories are about the other, the Polynesians, the blacks, these other groups have these gods that aren't the white god, and these other gods are gonna get you. And that
I never thought about it in that aspect of it.
The Call of Cthulhu, I couldn't believe it. I was blown away. I was like, this is super racist, and it's one of those things where like you didn't know and you go and you Google it and it's like, yeah, dude, everybody knows it.
Yeah.
So it's tough for me to reconcile that. I'm not going to read another H.P. Lovecraft story. Am I going to buy a video game based on an H.P. Lovecraft story? Yeah, sure. Because it's like, maybe they'll do something interesting.
It's generations away from the source.
Right. Am I going to buy that Harry Potter video game, the single player RPG that's coming out next year that looks awesome? Yeah, probably. Like maybe. I don't know. Is it a good game?
Like at the time.
Is it a good game?
Yeah. Right. I don't know.
But I think inherently there's a toxic aspect to cancel culture, and I think it really needs to be examined, and you need to understand your motivations behind canceling something, whether it's just outrage emotion or if it's legitimate issues you have. And I mean, sure, there's a right and wrong, but there's also areas of gray, and there's
a lot of areas of gray.
Yeah, this world is gray. I look outside, the sky is gray.
But I prefer it when it's gray.
Yeah, but I think we did the thing.
We did the thing again.
I think we did the thing.
That was fun. That was a good one.
Yeah, it's been an hour and a half, and I didn't even realize it.
Oh wow!
But thank you for coming, Daniel.
Yeah, thank you.
I think this was an amazing episode. I think would love to have you again sometime.
I was just gonna say we should definitely have Daniel back on. That was good.
It's amazing.
I'd love to be on. Yeah, I want to hear those ambulance stories. I love this shit.
Remember, everybody, be kind to one another, and don't be a piece of shit.
Please don't.
Good night.